I was reading the scripture out of 1 Corinthians 13 in a like a modernized version where they take the original Greek and try to make it more modernized. But the thing that caught my attention in 1 Corinthians 13, the last scripture, it says, love is the most important. And I thought that was kind of an interesting way to say it. And I started thinking about how much we forget what is the most important thing. As Christians, it's easy to neglect that. And I started thinking about this last week. I went to Hawaii and I had a chance to surf. I don't know if you've ever went surfing. It's pretty amazing. But the thing I thought was funny is I Micah and Isaiah and we all went to this lesson, and we get our surfboards and we basically get to, the teacher sits there and tells us, okay, you got to do this step, this step, this step. You put your hands down, you lean back, you throw your knees up, you put your foot forward, turn to the side, and you sit up, and you're surfing. Well, the funny thing is, you get out there and you get so caught up in the steps, and I'm sitting there and I'm going and I got the steps down. I'm leaning back, I'm putting my knees down, I'm putting my foot forward, I'm turning, I'm standing up. And little by little, I'm doing this, and I'm starting to get the hang of it. And then it's like, wow, okay, I got this step down, I got that step down, and everything. And then while I'm doing that, finally it hits me. It's like, wow, I'm surfing, but I'm not really surfing. I'm not really paying attention to things around me. And suddenly these clouds kind of fill up the air, and it kind of starts to rain and get windy. And then it's like, wow, it hit me. I forgot about the steps. I wasn't paying attention to put my knees down, put my foot forward, and do this, do that, and all that kind of stuff. I was just surfing, and it was amazing. And getting caught up in that moment of, wow, this is what it's all about. It's funny because Jesus in Matthew chapter 23, he's sitting there at the temple. It's the last week of his life. And all these people are asking him all these questions about, what do you say about marriage? And if somebody's married and they die and they get married to this person, blah, 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 who's going to be his wife? They ask him all these, different questions about all this different stuff. And he tells them the story. It's amazing. He tells them the story about this guy who throws a party and he invites all these people, and none of them have time to come, because they have all these other little things that they thought were so important to do. And then one of the Pharisees, they corner him. They say, okay, well, teacher, what is the most important commandment? And without even thinking, Jesus just spouts out, because I can tell you, the greatest commandment and the most important is love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And the second, which is just as important, is love your neighbor as yourself. What is important? It's easy to get caught up in the Bible studies. It's easy to get caught up in your praying and you're memorizing scriptures and going to church services and joining all these small groups and doing this and doing that. And, oh, wow, but it's easy to miss the point. What is important? In 1 Corinthians 13, Paul says, if I speak in the tongue of men and of angels, if I prophesy, if I can fathom all these mysteries, and I have all this knowledge, and I have a faith that I can move mountains, if I give all I possess to the poor, and I surrender my body to be burned, but without love. And I like how it's like a banging gong or a clanging cymbal. It means nothing. There's a story that I heard, and I've read a bunch of different stories about Taj Mahal. I don't know if you know, Taj Mahal is this great place in India that has all these amazing stories that go along with it and all this different controversy. But one of the stories that I thought was really interesting is this, this is Mughal, or I can't even pronounce it. It was this emperor who really loved his wife. And his wife had died having their, 13th or 115th kid. I don't know. They had a ton of kids back then. So she dies, and he loved her so much that he said he was going to build this amazing mausoleum for her because he was so distraught and so upset. So he started building. And they'd taken her body and put it in this casket, this airtight sealed casket. And they had her at one spot. And then when he was almost finished, she's like, well, we need to move her back because I want to put her in here. But then he got caught up in building. And his building took years and years and years. And he kept building and building and building and building. And when it was time to actually finish, and he wanted to take his wife's body, He couldn't find it. It was gone. He thought maybe it was one of those boxes that he threw away in the process of building. You know, it was funny because he was so caught up in the building, he missed the whole reason why he was building. How much do we end up doing that in our life? That we get so caught up in being Christians, we miss the whole point of what it is to be a Christian. We get so caught up in loving God that we never get a chance to really love God. Take some time to look around you. I mean, this amazing world that God puts you in, the blessings that God has blessed you with, the amazing things that you have. And take some time to look around you and realize the amount of people out there that need that same love. That's what this is all about. The most important thing is love.